the gig. You're late for work. Let's get it.
Share that. Tell them about this. Bring a friend. We're here. I'm Mike Jones. He's 5,000 watts. And this is two Michaels and a 281-330-8004. My mic sounds like Garbaggio.
I don't know why, but also you got something playing.
Holy shit.
You got something playing audio.
That's that.
Your mic sounds fine in here.
Nah, dude. I sound
Is this cranked up over here from when we're listening to beats?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Okay. That could be it.
All right.
I sounded very tinny.
Oh, well, that's just, your voice. You got to talk from your chest.
Say it with your chest,
there
dog.
You go.
This is the Gig Podcast.
It is.
We're here every Monday night. We welcome you to join us. We are two G's with a microphone in the middle. Haven't said it for a while. Haven't had such a good show lined up for such a while.
Oh, you got all the topics ready to go.
We've had some good shows, but this is end of the year. Let's go out with a bang.
That's what they say, right?
Later in the show, we will be dropping our not nominations.
Okay.
Because he's already nominated. The guy's already locked in for Gigmen and Gigma'am of the year.
Right.
We're also talking sex and fashion, and we have a whole gang of recommendations for you. If you're feeling like you came out of Christmas morning and there was a little something to be desired there.
Came out light.
We're going to point you in the right direction so you feel fulfilled before we get to 2023.
That's just another service that we offer here.
Fashionistas.
That's right.
Fashionistas. East Coast fashionistas.
Word.
And then finally, do you got, for the end of the show, do you got some beats for us to maybe lock in a final list here?
I got a few more left to throw at you to see if we have our 10 ready to go.
We're getting pretty close.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're around 6 or 7 right now, so if we can lock in a couple more.
I'd like to get 10 above cruddy windows, and then...
That's what I'd like too.
And I think that's where we're at.
That's what I'd like too. So, we had Christmas number 2 at my mom's house today.
Yeah. What?
Go ahead.
What do you think? The multiple Christmases thing. Pain in the ass? Or just that's fine. That's just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you just accept it because that's how it works. It's not multiple Christmases for me. I'm just the driver, dog.
No,
you know the deal.
You're talking to your mirror here.
You're the driver, bro. You just get them where they need to go, bro.
Everybody's on time. I did my thing.
Yeah. It's to make my mom happy, which is something I never really care about.
Right. That just makes it worse, right?
But she wants all of us to be in one place so all the grandkids can be in one place so that they can all get presents together. They all had a good time. She makes braciole and ravioli, so, and a pumpkin roll. My mom's pumpkin roll is world famous. It's the only thing that's better than her pizzelles.
Oh, all right.
So, whatever. I mean, that was a thing. How was your Christmas, sir? You didn't get the sneakers you wanted.
I didn't get any.
Christy, you fucked up. You should have got the guy sneakers. You could have called. You could have DM'd me and said, hey, I want to get him sneakers. I don't know where to start. I'd have been glad to help out.
I'll say two things. First and foremost, I'm fine with them not buying me sneakers.
Yeah.
Because unless I'm telling them, hey, buy me this pair of sneakers, I don't want them guessing. I don't want that pressure on them. They don't need that. I will say, I'm trying to think of how many years it's been, but they got it exactly right this year with the gift that my wife and my son gave me, and that hasn't happened in quite some time.
What was it?
It's called an Odin, and it's a handheld device that looks roughly like a Switch, but I can run like all the old emulators on it, plus run my computer video games on it, and it's perfect. It's just beautiful, and I love it. And that's the first time in a while that I've opened a gift and not like I don't dislike the gifts that they give me, but I didn't have the feign excitement.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is great. I love this.
Can you play Wolfenstein 3D on it?
I can play all the Wolfensteins on it.
Sweet,
We can play the old original Apple IIe Wolfenstein with just the line grids.
I'm unfamiliar with the Apple IIe Wolfenstein. Was Wolfenstein before Doom?
They're overlapping. Wolfenstein came first, but they're very closely bumped up against each other.
I feel like Doom was hot first. And then once everybody found Doom, they kind of went back to Wolfenstein like, oh, this is the same kind of thing.
So Wolfenstein Wolfenstein definitely was first and was hot first, but Doom was really the first one to get online play roughly right.
Yeah.
And so that one just went like it blew Wolfenstein out of the water.
See, I don't remember online with Doom.
No, listen, you're talking about like 2400 baud dial-up modems when you're playing Doom online at that point. So
how could that even? I can't even imagine that really working.
It wasn't great, but it was better than anything that came before it, so it was notable. It was the first taste of like, all right, there might be a future here with this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, Doom was a sick game, dude. Yeah. I remember Doom being, that was my dad had Netscape. See, my dad's a computer guy, right? Like he works in the field of computers. So when the internet came out, we were early on that game in our household.
Yeah,
we were early on the internet, and then, shortly after the internet came, I was then being monitored very close because I got caught looking at rotten.com.
Oh, right away you went deep on the deep end?
So you ever seen rotten.com?
I've seen rotten.com and ogreish.com, which made rotten.com look like mickeymouse.com.
I never saw ogreish.com. This is something that I would never want to look at now.
No, I don't.
So if you're unfamiliar with rotten.com, I don't know if you could still go to it, but I suggest you don't, even if you could. Rotten.com was this site that had, so we're talking early to mid 90s.
Yeah.
Maybe we're talking like 94, 95.
That's around right.
And on rotten.com, they would have like pictures that they got from like coroner's offices and stuff of like bodies that had been run over by a train and people who've been shot in the head. And it was all this disgusting stuff. Crime site photos.
Right.
And they just had postings of it.
Yeah.
And as a 9-year-old kid, I was intrigued by the fact that this was a thing this was real life.
It was like an endurance test. Like, how much of this can I look at before my brain just gives up? Like, all right, we got to check out and click off of this. How gross and graphic can it get before I'm just like, well, perhaps I should not be looking at this for some reason.
The thing that's crazy is I don't. Victor, I mean, Deuces Coco, I apologize, sir.
He's out on the streets. What are you doing?
Deuces Coco's here, as is AB the OG.
I'm just another nigga from the beach. You can tell by my speech or that salt smell on me. Yeah.
Happy holiday season, gentlemen. We're glad to see you here, as always. Hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. I don't think that it had any effect on my brain at that point, because it felt gross, but it also didn't feel like earth shattering. Whereas, like, to me, if my son is a 9-year-old and winds up getting into rotten.com, I'm going to be like, what are you doing, buddy?
I wonder if when you're 9, because you haven't, like, your brain hasn't put anything together yet.
Yeah.
So it doesn't affect you like if you were, say, 14 or 15 and you're a little more aware of the world and you're a little more like cognizant of what you're looking at. Like, yeah, you're 9 years old and you're looking at a autopsied body.
Right.
But like it looks like you're looking at a movie instead of when you're like 14, you're like that could be the dude across the street, or like,
you know what I mean? You don't really put it together that it's real. Yeah, I think that's probably very true, because now I have zero interest.
No.
I don't want to look at it at all. Even Mikey Meeks always wants to send me BMX crashes.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't want to see it, dude. I just don't. Some of them, like, whatever. Some are just, every once in a while you see a BMX crash where you're like, ooh, that's gnarly, because the dude winds up jumping off of his bike while he's 18 steps in the air,
right,
and then rolls and lands, and you're like, sick, dude.
Nice.
He landed it.
He hit it.
But then you get one where the dude bunny hops off of a curb and puts a foot down and his knee snaps backwards.
Yeah.
Those are, I don't want to see it, man.
Sometimes I get links to Live Leaks, which is like lots of dash cam footage and traffic cam footage and stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll watch these accidents and they're interesting to watch, but then like you start thinking, I wonder if that driver died in that. I don't know, maybe I don't want to be watching this anymore.
Right. It seems like there's heavy in Russia.
Yeah.
Heavy dash cam footage. Whenever you see a dash cam video, it's always some Eastern European or Russian former Soviet country.
So from what I understand, and I could be dead wrong, but from what I understand, it's really easy to sue in Russia. And there are people who will quite literally throw themselves into traffic looking to blame you for hitting them.
Yeah.
And that's why these dash cams have popped up so prevalent, so that people can say, no, look.
Yeah,
He jumped off the curb while we were driving.
Right. So today, I'm right. This is really... Let me scratch it. I'm going to stop before I even start because this is about to be real boring.
Get wound up.
No, it's just going to be real boring. And to me, I'm a man who's done a very good job at corralling my addictions. Okay. You know, I get into something, I get addicted, but I also don't let it get out of control.
You find your way out of it when it's necessary.
Yeah. You know, for a few years there in my teens and 20s, it got out of control. But now as a 30-something, I've learned to control addictions before, or just cut them off before they start.
Right.
I do have one particular addiction that I'm not in control of. I will be fully honest and tell you that I am powerless over the power of Polo clothing. Like, if you send me into...
Ralph has his Tollins in you.
Bro, put me on the website. The website's a little bit better because it's not right there in front of me.
Okay, right.
So I can usually turn down and go, you know what? I'll buy it next week, and then I can force myself to forget about it by next week.
Right.
But you put me in a Polo factory store or a Macy's and put a couple nice pieces in front of me and a little bit of plastic in my pocket.
You're done for.
Yeah, it's over, dude. I'm spending it. Today, I did get 2 Polo sweatsuits for the price of 1, though. So...
Killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it. Was that over in Gloucester?
Yeah, they got a heavy... Everything's 40%, and then the lady told me a code to get a 30% discount.
So that's 70, as far as I can tell.
Exactly. So I got... And I'm not even a sweatsuit guy, but I am now.
Well, because Ralph told you got to be a sweatshirt guy. That's listen, I'm going to give you 2, so you're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm trying something new. I feel like I should be collecting bets. You know what I mean? Like, I got this sweatsuit on, a pair of, like, Nike running shoes.
You should be collecting numbers.
I should be out here collecting numbers. So I'm picking up envelopes at different little mom and pop shops in a city somewhere.
Little OU tickets and stacks of bills.
That's it, dude.
Well, it is bowl season, so that now's the time.
Bowl. Yes, it is bowl season. Correct. Somebody said to me the other day something about merch, right? Okay. They were like, "Oh yeah, I got merch from so and so." I'm like, "Cuz I don't buy merch."
Yeah, you do.
I said, "There's only one spot. There's only one guy's merch that I buy, and that's Ralph's, dude."
You got all his merch, though.
I got all Ralph's merch. As much Ralph merch as I can get.
You should put out tour t-shirts. You buy them right up.
I would, dude. They're selling. I got the Polo. This is the Polo inside. There's the regular Polo app, right? And then there's the Polo Insiders app.
So this is like Nike versus the sneakers app.
Yeah, basically. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. On the RL67 app. Okay. They're selling Ralph snowboards and skis.
Oh, okay.
And I thought about maybe they got a Snow Beach snowboard, cause
Snow Beach snowboard.
Snow Beach is the famous jacket that Raekwon wore in Cream, maybe. It's a yellow jaw and it says Snow Beach on it. It's got like red and blue on it too. It's a sick jacket, and it's a very storied jacket in the Polo world and the hip hop world. Okay. They even had re-released the Snow Beach collection a few years ago. That collection was like 96, the Snow Beach collection. And because it was so storied inside of the hip hop world, they re-released it maybe a year or 2 back, but the prices were all jacked up, all crazy. Gotcha. The Snow Beach jacket goes for more than a G at this point. The Snow Beach snowboard was going for like $1,200. And I thought that would be sick, but I don't snowboard, so it would have just been a $1,200 wall decoration. Absolutely. And I'm not at the point in my life where buying art is a thing that I'm thinking of yet.
Well, no, is it not buying art, or is it not at that price? $75, you're not buying it and hanging it up there?
I'm not really buying art at all. If I could get a Polo snowboard for $75,
that's what I'm saying.
I probably would do it.
Yeah.
So today is sex and fashion. Oh, let's keep going with fashion then. Okay. The sex stuff we'll bring later. Let's go fashion. So I also got, because it's the holiday season, I bought a few sweaters. Okay. I bought one for Thanksgiving.
Right.
I got one for Christmas, and a couple for any little days in between. My Christmas sweater, I wore last week on the show. It was that multi-pattern cable knit polo hoodie, multicolored.
Right.
And it's fresh, but I needed a pair of pants to wear for it. So I take, actually, I told you this story, but we'll go back into it because we didn't tell the Gigmen. So I go, I'm looking for, actually, I wasn't even looking for a pair of pants yet. I just knew I needed some khakis to match this sweater.
Right.
My wife sends me to Once Upon a Baby. Once Upon a Baby is
What's your inseam that she's sending you there?
Once Upon a Baby is a used, it's a baby thrift store.
Yeah, secondhand baby store.
Secondhand baby store. Because we needed to get an ugly sweater for my daughter for school. So next to Once Upon a Baby is Plato's Closet, which is a thrift store.
Right.
And I've never been in there. I know it exists. I've never been in there. I've never had the urge to. As I'm walking into Once Upon a Baby to get this ugly sweater, I go, let me just see what Plato's Closet's about. I've heard about it. I've never been through there. Let's just see what kind of stuff's in there.
You're there.
So I first walk in, and they've got an array of sneakers on top of the racks. Nothing crazy.
Right.
But just decent enough sneakers that made me go, oh, they might have some shit in here.
Okay.
Like they had some NMDs, some Adidas NMDs. They had they had some Polo skips. They had some like Jordans, but they were like kind of whack Jordans. But they had some shit that made me go, all right.
It's not all just Bobos.
Maybe it's worth taking a look. So I'm browsing through. First, I find a pea coat, a Guess pea coat that's fresh, $30. Let me get that. It's clean. It's clean. It's $30. It's warm. It's a pea coat. I'll take it.
Put it on the tab.
And then I'm like, well, I could probably find a pair of khakis in this joint. So I find everything's color coordinated, right?
Okay.
So I find the row of khaki pants, which is 100 deep. Size 34 is 100 pairs of khaki pants. I'm like, all right, let me start flipping through these Johns.
Right.
And I find a pair that I'm like, oh, I pull them. I'm like, they're stretchy. They look slim fit. It's nice color. Let me put these off to the side. And I keep searching. Now, this pair was perfect. Like, they were crisp, clean. They had the cut that I liked. They didn't have anything crazy going on. They had the color I liked. They were a 34-30. I wear a 34-32.
Okay.
But I like a 30 because when I roll my cuff up, then it's a little bit higher. You show more of this handsome ankle. I got a handsome ankle. I got to show it off.
You do.
So I find another 2 or 3 pairs, but none of them are, like, one's not stretchy, right?
Okay.
The other one's a 34-34. The other one, the color's a little bit off. So I'm like, well, the first pair that I found is the best one. Let's see how much that cost. So I start looking for the tag. I'm like, oh, it's $12, cuz.
All right, so you're only at $42 and you got a whole outfit.
Yeah, I'm like, shit. I found the perfect pair of khakis for $12. I am all in at this point on Plato's Closet. So I'm like, well, what the hell are they? Got to be Old Navy or something if they're selling them for $12. They can't be anything nice, but I'm gonna wear them once, and that's probably gonna be it. So I don't care really what the brand is. So, but as I'm trying to figure out the brand, there's like no particular markings on them.
Okay.
So I flip inside to the tag. On my way up to the register with these things already, I'm figuring this out.
Right.
I flip open the back waist seam to see the tag, and they're South Pole, cuz. I turned right around. I had to put them back.
But there was nothing on the outside that's saying that they were South Pole, right?
Well, so after I saw it on the tag, I then looked, and like on the little leather patch on the back, you know, like where the Levi's patch is at,
yeah.
There was a little John that said South Pole. Nobody would have known.
No, because you're not going to tuck your sweater in.
No, I could have got it off. However, it wasn't okay in my heart, because after I spent the previous week clowning South Pole from here to the North Pole.
Yeah, but you were clowning New South Pole. That was Old South Pole.
I believe this was New South Pole.
You think that was New South Pole?
I believe it was New South Pole. It was too new. Like it was slim cut,
crisp.
skinny jeans. Old South Pole was might as well,
Double
you know,
over baggy.
Jinkos and shit. Yeah. So I put them back and found another pair that I think this might be one of my new brands to add to the repertoire.
Okay.
So Ralph is this guy, Polo.
Sure.
Polo is an all-American classic fashion house. When I think of Americana and American fashion, there's really only one brand, which is Polo. You could come closely behind it with Nautica or Tommy.
Okay.
But Tommy's really a knockoff Ralph.
But I was going to say, isn't Tommy even from the house of Ralph anyway? Like, isn't he a descendant?
That may be true. I'm not familiar with that story.
I could be wrong, but I thought he was like one of his designers and then he split off.
I mean, that it's just solely by thinking of the designs that Tommy has created.
Right.
That sounds very, very true. But I that's not a story that I ever heard. But Tommy is just kind of a knockoff Ralph.
Okay.
And he had his time, and he's even making a little bit of a resurgence lately. But
just like South Pole.
Yeah, but not for me, dude. Tommy's not for me. So yeah, Ralph is Americana.
Okay.
Now, I've claimed Nordic god status on more than one occasion. That's the Polak in me. I'm also a Mediterranean god, but that's the Italian side, right?
Sure.
The Nordic side is the Polish side. And I would consider that anywhere kind of across the top of Europe would be the Nordic. Norway, Amsterdam,
Iceland,
and whatever's
Finland,
up there.
all that. Okay.
All those spots.
Sure. The snow country.
So I found the Norwegian Ralph, which is Scotch and soda.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Scotch and soda?
As a drink, yes. As a clothing line, no.
As a clothing line, it's kind of the and I don't know if it's Norway, but that's what sounds best, Norwegian.
Okay.
It's one of those countries up there, and it's kind of like, I say it's the Norwegian Ralph because it represents what you kind of expect as baseline good fashion for that part of the world.
For people that are cold.
Yeah. It's classy, it's minimalist, it's very clean looks. Has like the one thing about it, the back pocket has 3 little X on the seam, but they're so quiet, like nobody knows they're there, but it's like that little tweak that goes, oh, that's kind of fly to do that. Like nobody will know that or ever notice it.
Right.
But it's like that little piece of something to get you like, oh, okay.
Give you a little hint.
I like it. A little pizzazz.
Sure.
So if you're looking for a new brand to add to your repertoire and you're a big Polo fan, I would urge you to just browse through Scotch and soda. They're about the same price range. You know,
Right.
it's not cheap.
No, it is not.
You got to pay like the khaki Johns I got, even though I paid $14 for them at the thrift store.
Yeah.
I think they're like $150 pair of pants.
I could see that. I'm mostly seeing like shirts and stuff right now, but yeah, I could see based on the price of these shirts that the khakis are up there.
Pair of
They're-
low
they're
jeans
from Amsterdam.
Yeah, pair of low jeans cost you $129 or whatever, so
Right.
it's in the same ballpark. They're not top tier fashion house that you're paying $700 for jeans for them, but they're not going to be cheap either. But it's a nice pair of pants. I'm going to delve a little bit further into Scotch and soda. What do you think as you're browsing through there?
I mean,
I didn't get that. Could
well,
you try again?
sorry Siri, hold on. Let me
Shut up.
rethink my thoughts. I think you're on with the Ralph Lauren. I think they're using a little more color than he might use.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, when you're looking at it and I'm seeing the first thing on the page is a Looney Tunes and Scotch and Soda collab, I think this is right up your 1990s, early 2000s era.
That's my twist. You know, I'm an old man, dude, but I'm also, the benefit of this is also that 90s fashion is coming back around. So
Yeah.
I'm back in style, Daddy.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was out of style there for a little bit, but now I'm back in.
You just had to wait your time, and now it's back.
I'm cool again.
Right.
We've had this debate plenty of times.
All right.
This is a long-standing debate here at the 7-1 Studios.
Okay.
It goes back to the days when we had a co-host by the name of Biz, who sadly he's no longer with us.
R.I.P.
I'm looking for like a RIP button, but I don't think I
we
have one.
Allegedly.
We don't do a lot of dead people on the show.
We don't.
Who the fuck is Chuck Thomas?
That guy. So I don't remember where he stood on the argument.
Okay.
But I know where I stand, and I believe I know where you stand because I've seen you show up to my house with your toes out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
The idea, and this discussion came up amongst me and the Jedi.
Okay.
Me and the Jedi have been friends for, at this point, 25 years. No more. Our friendship has been dissolved
Squashed.
over the past week because he feels as though it's completely acceptable to not only wear thong sandals, but to do so without any type of foot covering. To leave his hairy, masculine toe out there for all to see.
Right.
Now, I understand. I give you a pass. You're next to the pool. You're on the sand. You want to have your toes out. Even on your way there, I'm going to keep my toes covered up until I get to the pool or to the sand. But if you're on your way to the pool or the sand and you want to have your toes out on that whole walk, I'll give you a pass. But to do something as, give me a word.
Controversial?
Controversial, yeah. I'm thinking more like a word of...
Unhygienic?
Nah, I'm thinking like a strong disgust, like a surprising disgust.
A surprising disgust.
Yeah, like
disgust can catch you off guard every now and then. Shockingly vile.
Shockingly vile. To do something as shockingly vile.
Would have been on rotten.com in your youth.
Yeah, as to walk yourself into the produce section of ShopRite and be out here shopping for cantaloupes with your toe jam all out in the air, just making... This is what... People should put masks on for the men who are out here with their toes out, letting their toe cheese just float into any random stranger's nostril.
This is a ridiculous position, and you know this.
No.
Listen, first of all, I'll start here, and I'll give you your leeway.
It's an atrocity that you would think it's anything other.
I will give you... Here's where I will give you your leeway.
Okay.
If you want to say you just shouldn't wear sandals in public, or you just shouldn't wear slides in public, okay, fine.
Yeah.
That's your position. I got you. Once we're okay with wearing sandals or slides, there's no socks. What am I going to do? I'm going to put on my shorts but put leggings on underneath of them? There's a reason I'm only wearing half a shoe. It's hot out. I want the ventilation.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put socks on top of it and ruin the whole purpose of it. The only time socks with the sandals or slides is acceptable is if you're on the way to, like, say, a sporting event where you got to switch into your cleats when you get there so that you're ready to go. Other than that, you bought sandals because they're open-toed. There's a reason it's called open-toed. It's not called covered-toed. It's called open-toed. There's a reason for this. I bet you.
If you find a piece of men's footwear that's described on the internet as open-toed and it's for men,
right?
I will show you.
How do you think they describe sandals? Because there's closed-toed sandals.
They call
like
them sandals.
Okay.
They don't say that they're open-toed. You're making it worse by calling it open-toed.
If I tell you I'm going to the store to buy some sandals, in your mind, what's it going to look like? Is it going to have an open front?
A guy like you?
Yeah, any guy.
Like you. You're buying a pair.
Just talking about buying the sandals.
You're buying a pair of reef sandals.
I do have a pair of reef.
With
so
the
what?
strap. With the strap, right? The strap's has 3 different colored stripes up it, and it's frayed on both sides of the toe strap.
It might be, but then it's got the bottle opener in the sole, which is nice.
Yeah, fair enough. Because what I want to do is put the entire world, the ground of the entire world. On the mouth of a beverage that I'm drinking.
I don't know if you know how bottle openers work, but they don't touch the mouth if you're doing it correctly.
It's too close for comfort, bro. If you'll have the germs move, bro. Germs are like bed bugs. They jump off of one thing onto the next, which is why I can't be around a guy who's got his toes out because those toe germs might fuck around and hop into my mouth, bro. And I don't suck men toes. All right,
well,
I won't do it.
That's an upgrade for you.
I mean, I would do it in a pinch if I had to, but I prefer not to, is what I'm saying.
So you think...
I'd prefer if it was at least pedicured.
You think when this gentleman here is selling you these, he expects you to put socks on?
No.
Okay.
But you got to be a certain type of... First off, you can't do that and not put... You can't... You got to stop doing it to the boys.
I didn't want to upset you.
No.
Now I'm showing what Ralph
You're trying to come with angles. I'll take your angle and shoot it down. So, that sandal right there...
Right.
Is for a certain type of gentleman.
Okay.
A gentleman which I am not. A gentleman which neither are you.
All right.
The type of gentleman who wears this sandal is not the type of gentleman that anybody's going to check him on that. This guy's got on a pair of linen pants.
Okay.
He lives on a farm in Colombia.
Okay.
And he's taking business calls about moving tons to Miami. Moving cocaine to Miami. And if you check him on his shoes, you're going to get fed to the hippopotamuses that came loose from Pablo Escobar's farm in the 80s.
So the top guy is okay for him to be wearing these.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying I'm not going to say anything about it. Guy who's got the balls to wear those. Here's the thing, dude.
Go ahead.
You can't. There's you can walk in. You can go into public with your penis. You're allowed out of your house with your penis. You don't got to leave it at home.
Thanks.
But you can't go out with it out in public. It's indecent exposure.
Yeah.
Think of your toes as 5 tiny little foot penises.
The thing is this, like there was only in general one person in this room who treated feet like they were a sexual organ.
Yeah.
And it wasn't me or you.
Yeah, that's true. but on a toe is a tiny little foot penis, and it should be treated as such. You can let it out when you're at a nude beach. Otherwise, wear aqua socks. I only wear aqua socks to the beach, bro.
Okay. That's fine.
Listen, I'm so into keeping my toes as a private thing between me and my wife in the bedroom.
Right.
Actually, I'm lying because I wear socks while I'm fucking.
I don't get enough grip. Oh, I need those whatchamacallits.
Clap cleats. I am so serious about keeping my toes hidden from the rest of the world because I've got some goddamn manners.
Well, what are you worried about?
That I considered buying Yeezy foam runners.
Oh, Jesus.
4 days at the beach just to keep my toes covered while still being able to get moist and splash around in the shallows.
You would take Yeezy foam runners into the salt? I don't know. I wouldn't pay that much for that crap, and then
I feel like that's what they're
it's
meant for. Yeah, like I feel like you could probably salt water them.
Right, and then just
yeah,
wash
you
them
would
off.
probably just wash those off. I would think. I don't know. I think that's the only thing that they're really made for or good for. You're not going to catch me. You might be more likely to catch me with my toes out in the produce section than a pair of Yeezy foam runners. Yeah, great slide right there. You know what the problem is?
What's that?
There's 5 little foot penises hanging out of it. Indecent exposure. You're goddamn right, AB. It's indecent exposure.
It's got the horse and everything. That's how Ralph wants you to live.
Bro.
Free and clear.
But let
him breathe.
That's Assos.
But no, they're Ralph.
That's the Assos website, bro.
They're Ralph's shoes.
Yeah, but no.
Ralph submits the picture.
Ralph wants you to live how you want to live,
which is with the feet out.
I don't.
What's wrong with your feet that you have this issue?
I've honestly, I've got completely normal feet.
This can't be right.
I don't comprehend. Right here's the other. It's funny that you say this. Right? It's funny you say this because like you'll see a guy who's got crazy looking feet, like his toenails are all jacked up and his feet are all cracked. And to me, like I look at that, one, I feel bad for the guy. That sucks to have your toes look like that when you got to look at them in the shower every day. But two, I don't comprehend how that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, like how can you, like I'm hard on my feet.
Right.
I'm wearing boots every day. I'm kicking around shit. And my feet have remained completely regular for the duration of my life. I don't understand how you get like toenail fungus that gets to the point where it engulfs your entire foot. You take care of that. You see I get a little bit of itch, a little bit of athlete's foot itch. I'm boom, give me the Tinactin. Right away. Let's stop this before it starts. But yeah, I have a fully regular foot. I just feel it's got to go back to the jail, right?
Okay.
Possibly. But also, I don't know if it goes back to jail because I've never wanted to walk around with my feet out.
They don't wear
even
the slides
as a kid.
They don't wear the slides in the shower in jail?
They do.
Okay. And that's okay because they're getting wet?
Because you're in the shower.
Okay.
And because you really have no that's your house at this point.
That's your house, and you're protecting yourself. You're
not going to be out on the yard with your toes out.
No, nobody walks out.
You're not going to be walking around toes out.
You don't want to get it stepped on.
You're not going to be walking around with your toes out in the cell. Like you can't put your socks on, though. You come back from the shower, put your goddamn socks on.
All right.
Don't be out here with your little feet birds hanging out, dude.
This is just a remnant of your jail life, and that's understandable. I mean, some of these things stuck with you are positive, and some are not.
But what I'm saying is, regardless,
how else are you going to show off your pedicure?
I don't understand how you guys like you and the Jedi can't comprehend why it's weird to have your toes wiggling out at people.
Because there's an entire line of footwear designed to have your toes out wiggling at people.
AB, you're a guy from the beach. So you probably see a lot of toes out there by the beach.
Right.
I'm looking to you for the ruling right now, AB in the chat, to tell us, am I crazy or should men have their toes put away until the right time? That's all I'm saying,
All
dude.
right. So where's your cutoff? Like, do you
Keep
wear
that
long
between
sleeves
you
under
and
your
your
short
wife.
sleeves so I can't see your arms?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Oh, Balk's in the beach.
I'm just another nigga from
Happy
the
birthday.
beach. You can tell by my speech or that salt smell on me. Yeah.
I knew Balk would tell you that the toes should be away. Balk, I didn't know you were here, Bo. I didn't see. Sometimes.
I didn't see him pop in either.
Nah, sometimes it doesn't show all the comments if you left one earlier than that. Socks, sandals, at best. Yeah, keep them, John. Keep your dogs hidden. That's a family pet, dude. You keep that between you and your old lady. And even then, she probably doesn't want to see your feet. Snuck in with toes covered. As you should, bro. Keep them covered, dog. Where's the cutoff?
Yeah, like why I'm buying things to have things hanging out. Let's just go there.
You know, anything that
So
anything that can be considered like a penis,
Right.
foot penis, regular penis.
So walk me through foot penis.
If I was if I had a dick
Why have
nose,
you-
bro, if I had a dick nose,
Right.
I'd wear a mask all the time.
Why have you decided to equate your toes to penises and not your hands?
Because your hands are tools.
And your feet aren't?
No, not really. Your foot as a whole is a tool.
You ever try walking without a big toe? It's next to impossible.
I never have.
Right.
No, that's just a balancing beam, bro.
So it's a tool.
Well, your hammer's a tool too. So
Right.
I mean,
okay. So then that can be out now too?
Yeah.
Because I can finally relax on the show for a
I
second.
mean, listen, dude, pull your bird out. Walk around in life with your bird out. Don't let me stop you.
All right, well, it sounds like
You're
you want
already
to.
halfway there with your feet showing.
Sure.
All right.
My 11th toe.
All right. Now that we spent 10 minutes talking about
The
men's
important
toes.
stuff, yeah, in the middle of winter. 9 degrees out. I got 2 pairs of socks on right now.
One more fashion thing before we get to the sex part of things. Before we get to the steamy stuff.
Dim the lights and get going.
I somehow, into my algorithm, it has worked Jamaican fashion items and the history of them.
This doesn't seem like a somehow. This seems consistent with different bits and parts of your
Yeah,
life.
I understand. I get it, but I didn't know so many mini documentaries on Jamaican fashion items existed.
Okay.
But they've all been popping up in my algorithm lately. Last week it was a John about Clarks.
Okay.
I didn't realize that Clarks were such a popular shoe in Jamaica.
The Wallabies, right?
The Wallabies, and then there was another pair that I can't remember. They obviously called them something different,
Sure.
you know, because Jamaicans are mad cool. I may live at the beach now, but I definitely do not look at another man's toes.
All
And
right.
that's coming from AB.
But he's not saying-
So you know it's stamped.
He's not saying cover them. He's saying I'm not paying attention one way or the other.
He's preferring
He's a grown man.
he's preferring that you keep them away.
I don't believe that's what he's saying.
I know that's exactly what he's saying. Yeah, you know, Jamaicans are mad cool, so they came up with some dope slang to call the Wallabies
Right.
something else and the other one something else. But this morning, I came across the Mesh Marina,
Okay.
which I didn't even know this thing had its own name, but the Mesh Marina is the mesh tank tops that are heavy in Jamaica.
Okay.
So I'm thinking, because of the history of this item, which is, it's a mesh tank top that started in England with Iceland, maybe Norway, dude. Maybe we're back to Norwegians. I'm not sure.
Could be.
Somewhere, some white land of whites. In a land of whites, this thing was created. And the idea behind it, it was kind of dry fit. Dry fit, right?
Right.
Give me another name for dry fit
Like
stuff.
the wick materials.
Yeah, wicking, dry wick, whatever. It was wicking material before wicking material was created.
Right.
So a soldier in maybe the Norwegian army created it as undergarments for the soldiers to to wick away your sweat, but to also keep you regulated and to still have an undergarment on. So they created these whole mesh kind of weave tank tops. And now you see every other Rasta man's wearing one in Jamaica because it's become the style down there.
Right.
So I'm going to do everything I can to bring the mesh marina to the South Jersey construction community this summer.
All right, hang on. I'm writing this down. Toes away, nipples
out.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nips out, dude. I only pull my nips out when I'm trying to be sexy.
When you're working on the job site, apparently.
And that's when I'm trying to be at my sexiest. When a person's, male or female's, toes get fungus, usually it's from some intestinal permeability that is going on in the body. I believe it. AB he's very science heavy on your gut
health.
biome.
Right.
He shared some info with me about. He's very strict and scientific on your diet and how it affects everything, which is everything that I understand is absolutely true. I tell this to people sometimes and they don't listen to me though.
What's that?
After today, I'm back on salmon and asparagus all month.
I got another week till it's all month. I'm
So
gonna live my life for one more week.
So I'm bringing the mesh marina to Thorough White Dudes. I'm going to see if we can't make this a hot item for this upcoming summer.
We need a mesh marina gig top.
It's coming, dude. It's coming. We're almost at 300, so I could finally make T-shirts. But
Somebody
YouTube
bails out again at $2.99.
YouTube's not. They refuse to let us get to 300.
They don't want to see us in good clothes.
Bro, we've gotten close. The way that I look at it, right? In my mind, if nobody ever bailed out, we'd probably be at like 350 now.
Right.
But we've been in the 290s
Keep
for like 2 months now, where it's like 293, 294, 292.
We need something to like
295,
push us
294.
far through, like get all the way to 320 all at once, and then it won't back us back down. You know,
Get over the hump, yeah.
Push through the barrier.
We absolutely do. So you got. All I'm saying is you guys heard it here first. So when you see Channing Tatum on the cover of People Weekly and he's wearing a mesh marina at the end of this summer, you're gonna know where it came from.
Right.
When you see
From the freshest kid you know.
when you see Chet Hanks in a mesh marina, you know he picked it up off of the gig.
At Bumber Snitch.
What?
That's the
Bumber Snitch?
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. The music festival in the Pacific Northwest where he went out and had like a meltdown on stage.
I didn't even know that he had a meltdown.
Oh, he's had several.
Was it in the midst of the White Boy Summer?
It might have been the White Boy Fall. I'm not exactly sure.
All right. Well, the White Boy Summer was probably hot and heavy, and by the time he got to fall, he couldn't take it anymore.
Well, that's true.
He
didn't have his mesh marina.
He didn't have the marina, keeping him cool, keeping him going. Make sure it's wild salmon to get the beneficial nutrients that your body needs. Put a stamp on that. I don't buy the. I always buy. I don't necessarily buy wild caught, but I don't buy the frozen. I always buy it fresh from the seafood counter, because I just feel like that's the better version. Yeah, it's a better it's a better hunk of meat. All right, so we got pharmaceuticals for everything, dude.
We do.
Which I wholeheartedly disagree with.
Okay.
You know, I think that obviously I'm not a guy who fights. I'm a man who's based in science.
Yeah.
So I don't fight against science.
No.
And I respect and appreciate the leaps and bounds that science has made over the past 100 years, let's say.
Sure.
Past however long you want to say. And I think that the medical science has... I just had this conversation with my wife because a friend of hers had a kidney stone the size of a golf ball.
Okay.
And has to wind up getting surgery to get it out.
They can't do
obviously.
They can't do that sonic thing.
Oh, where they like break it up?
Like pulverize it from the outside in.
Maybe that's what they're doing. They're doing something.
Right.
That they're not letting them just pass it. Yeah, they're not just letting them pass it. And we had this conversation where she was like, "Well, what the hell happened when that was going on in 1890? Like, yeah, he died.
You fold over in half and pray for the best.
You died.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's like
it rips you up on the way out.
Right. Across the board, people were dying earlier because we didn't have the ability to... This is why we're living so much longer now than we have in past history, because we have the ability to treat these things as they come up, and you get to carry on. And like in 1890, 1800, 1642, I would imagine that most people died of something other than natural causes and old age.
Babies were dying left and right just because they didn't have soap.
Yeah, like there wasn't you didn't have the option to get to dying of old age.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And now we do. So I think that in some facets, that's tremendous. But also, I think it's no secret that things are wildly overprescribed.
I think so.
You know, I think that I'm glad AB's in the chat because his knowledge is the perfect example that's like, hey, maybe you should eat more leafy green vegetables to help your this. Or maybe you need to get more starches in your diet to balance out that. Or more, you need more omega-3s and fatty acids, so get yourself some wild salmon.
I think there's definitely a section of it that like is getting treated with the pill that could be treated with other adjustments instead, lifestyle changes and things like that. Absolutely.
Right. And I think that there's probably some solid doctors out there who will push you towards diet changes and exercise and all those things before they want to get you on a pill. But I think that there's probably also a majority of doctors who are there just ready to write you a pill because the reality is that this is all a business and they're trying to pay for their, $500,000 home that they live in Cherry Hill.
It's systemic. It's systemic because you look in England, right, where doctors are incentivized to make sure you're truly healthy because they get bonuses based on their patient's health. So now, if that's the case, now a doctor's going to be more into, hey, maybe you should stop eating so many carbs because I need you to lose 5 pounds by the end of the month because I need to get this bonus. I need to get this bonus, right? And it sounds silly because they're just in it for the money one way or the other. But if you're incentivizing them to keep your patient healthy versus keep them alive, you're going to treat it. You're going to treat it a different way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you're gonna pay more mind.
Absolutely. I didn't know that was a thing. I think that's a tremendous idea.
Yeah.
Because they're incentivized right now to keep you medicated.
Well, basically, yeah. The companies, the pharmaceutical companies that are in there pushing whatever it is, they can pay the top dollar for. It even for patients who need to be prescribed stuff, it fucks you up. I have type 2 diabetes, and from the simplest things with the doctors, right? I have this patch on my arm. I wave my phone over that tells me what my blood sugar is.
Right.
I used to have to do the finger sticks.
Yeah.
This thing has been a miracle for me because I can now just basically take my sugar whenever I want. I can keep much tighter wrap on it. I can pay better attention to it. I can pay better attention to everything. I know much better how certain foods affect my blood and for how long and all that stuff. Because if I want to, every 5 minutes I can check my blood.
Yeah.
And there's no ill effect. I don't run out of strips. I don't have to keep pricking my finger till it's...
Right.
Been doing this for like 5 years. All of a sudden this year, my medical company that covers this, you can't use that one anymore. We want you to use ours. Well, I don't want to use yours. I want to use the one I've been using for 5 years. Yes, but they're paying us a stipend to push theirs. So now I'm literally going to have to completely eradicate my routine because they're getting paid money to use a different device that does different things in a different way.
Right.
And it's the same with all the other drugs too. Like, hey, this drug...
And overall, it does the same thing.
And overall, it does roughly the same thing.
Yeah.
But it's their company that they're getting money from.
Yeah.
And then there's other things like with all of this where like the doctor just prescribes you something and says... This is not its main reason for existing, but it will give you these benefits.
Right.
And I want you to get these benefits. I want your kidneys protected while you have diabetes type 2. And the medical company says, nah, we don't get paid by this company, so you can't have this one because you're not using it for its primary reason.
Right.
And so then the doctors kind of get handcuffed in that way too. So, but yeah, overall, there's a lot of it. Like I said, there's this whole chunk in here where like, just changing your lifestyle, changing different decisions that you make, changing different behavioral things would probably be the much better choice than the pills. But there's so much money in the pills from the top down that you get stuck.
Right.
You get stuck, being paid off to prescribe.
As you can see, we are willing to ruin an entire generation because of the pills and the money all associated with it. Look at guys who are in their 30s now. My generation is completely... Everybody knows someone whose life was ruined via Oxycontin.
Sure.
And that whole trip that they took off of that. And that all started with the idea of like, oh, this is, prescribe away because this is a non-addictive.
It's a miracle drug. It'll fix everything.
It's non-addictive. Yeah, it was a morphine derivative. I don't know how you ever thought that it was non-addictive.
Right.
Like from the jump. And it wasn't that you thought it was non-addictive. It was that you turned a blind eye to that.
Well, that's the
as
thing.
a marketing scam so that we could collect more paper off
Even
of
if you truly jumped out in front and said, no, we do believe that this is not addictive, at a certain point, you've seen enough evidence to go, well, all right, let's at least reconsider our position on this instead of digging our heels in. But they don't have to because they have the money and they control the Congress.
They're the puppet masters who are running the country. They're and AB said it. The U.S. is run by big pharma, big food, and big corp, which is absolutely true. It's not.
And we like it that way, apparently, because every time we try to fight to change that, we get told that no, capitalism is the only way.
Well, you're not going to fight to change it.
We try.
You could try. You could fight till you're blue in the face.
Right.
We don't have a say.
We do have a say, and we keep saying no.
No, we don't have a say.
I mean, we do, but that's fine one way or the other. The point is, either way, whether you can fight it or can't, we're still stuck here because it doesn't change.
Yeah, I have zero belief that that our vote means anything.
I know, but
I also have zero belief that should the general consensus be that we want to raise up and somehow rearrange the whole system.
Right.
It's not gonna happen because the public that wants the system rearranged is the public that is working everyday people.
Right.
We don't got the bread like the big corporations, the big pharma, the big food. We don't have the bread. The money runs the world. Yeah. And I would love for that to be a different thing because then we could stop thinking about it. But the reality is that's the game of life is get all the gold coins and get yourself comfy because of it.
But so
you have to play the game.
Even at our tier, where you aim your money makes a difference, right? If we all decided, okay, we don't shop at Walmart anymore, Walmart disappears. There's no way around it, right? So we still do have some control. You're right that there are people bigger and more powerful than us. I'm not doubting that. But where we decide to aim our money controls certain aspects.
Yeah, but that's the problem is that we're already stuck. We are inside of this moving hamster wheel of a system. So you have to partake in big corporations.
But you got to man up and do like the difficult decisions. Like I'm going to pay more for this at my corner shop so that my corner shop stays alive and let's crush the other guys.
But here's the thing. Even if you pay at the corner shop for the Nabisco cookies,
right,
they're still going to Nabisco.
Absolutely.
And Nabisco is up there at the top.
Oh no, like I said, I'm not giving it full control, but where you aim your money matters. And so now let's knock out Walmart, right? And let's just on this train, Walmart is Nabisco's biggest purchaser. Now, Nabisco's in trouble because Walmart's gone. We used to rely on Walmart to buy 500 million cases of Oreos a year, and now they're just gone.
Right, but
now.
But listen, because I'm going to tell you where that stops, dead in the water.
Even if you're going to say, okay, but all those cookies are still being sold somewhere.
Yeah,
you're right. But now Nabisco has to worry about, I got to deliver to 43 different places in this region instead of 12 different places. And I got to get my shit together. It's costing me more. It's hurting my business.
Right. So now your cookies cost more.
Then we
are fucking ourselves because our cookies cost more.
Then we stop buying those cookies when they raise the price.
When in cookies, you can say that.
Yeah.
When it comes to bread, milk, and eggs,
that's why we got to grow our own.
I'm paying a fucking ridiculous amount of money for eggs right now because I need eggs.
How much you paying for eggs?
I don't know what they cost. They're way more than they used to be. It's like $14 for 30 of them.
I feel like I'm paying $3 for 3 dozen eggs at Wegmans.
I don't think that's the case, man. If so, I should be shopping at Wegmans.
Everybody should be, but that's neither here nor there. All right, let's get into what you're really talking about, because we're not really talking about this discussion. We're talking about these pills for some other reason.
The Keebler elves were thugs.
I know.
I hear you, deuces.
You've seen the commercials?
I say, yeah, I got onto we are overprescribed because now in freaking 2000 and about to be 23, there's 23-year-old kids who are taking Cialis and Blue Chew and Viagra.
Right.
In wild rates. Whether it's the Cialis and the Blue Chew, like the Cialis and the Viagra, you need the prescription.
Right.
The Blue Chew, they send it to you for free online. They go, hey, we'll give you a free trial. We'll give you free pills. Just sign up.
You still have to go through their doctor, but it's
a joke. I did it. I got them because I'd never try. I'm like, you know what? I hear all the hype.
Right.
Let me see what's up with it. I took a Blue Chew and I just got a headache. I got a fucking rock hard piece, but I also got a headache.
Right.
After I was done with my wife, I had a headache for the next 3 hours. I'm like, this is not doing any. This is not.
Right.
I'm good. I don't have ED, so I don't need these things, and the side effects are worse. The juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Right.
But somehow, we've gotten it into the heads of these younger guys that they're having better sex and things are better if you're taking Blue Chew or gas station, dick pills or whatever. So there's this whole generation that takes them. There's guys who are 24 years old and can't fuck without a Blue Chew.
Right.
Which is wild because your testosterone is sky high at 24. I woke up 24 and could fuck I could jerk off 6 times a day.
So this is one of those times where I'm going to be on the same side of the table as you. And I do think that there is no coincidence in the prevalence of access to pornography and the increase in erectile dysfunction at a younger age. That being overwhelmed with that imagery and being overwhelmed with all of that not only kind of dulls your senses to what the real world has to offer, but it also throws off like anxiety for, oh my God, I have to be able to do all of this in order for her to be happy while I'm doing this.
But what I don't even think it's that. Like I don't think at 24 that ED is a real thing. For real. These kids aren't taking it because I don't have ED and all I did was told the doctor that I just wanted to have better, like the Blue Chew doctor gets on and it was a lady and she's like, well, do you have problems getting it up or this, that? I'm like, she was like, well, or she gave me like a list of things
to try to get you to just say yes to something.
Figuring out one that I'll say yes to so she could go, oh yeah, we can give it to you. And it was like, I just want to have better sex.
And then you took it.
Yeah.
And then you had an awful headache.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not the only one who's gotten an awful headache from it.
No,
you're not the only one who gets flush and gets congested and can't see right and has priapism and all that.
He told me he couldn't see for hours after taking it.
So then your possibilities are two. Either all these kids can get wood and they're just bullshitting about it and want these pills.
Yeah.
Or some of them truly can't function the way they want to and they're willing to put up with all these side effects to not have to deal with the social pressure of not being able to do it.
I lean towards from what my eyes and conversations and ears have heard.
Right.
Is that at 24 they think it's like, like, oh, my dick gets a little bit bigger when it's hard, or like my shit's that much more hard. You don't need it. You just think because it's there that things are better for you.
See, and here's where that's here's where that's crazy to me, even that idea, because like, especially at 24, at that age, in that window, you want to be like king of the world.
Yeah.
Right? And there are blatant and obvious signs that you're taking those pills. And any woman worth her salt knows that you're taking those pills.
Not a 24-year-old girl.
Absolutely.
They're not that smart.
They're not that difficult to figure out either.
Right.
So you're like admitting, I can't do this appropriately, so I've taken some pills.
Yeah.
Which the woman should like shun you for that. Like, what's wrong with you that you can't do this the normal way at 24 fucking years old?
Yeah, but if you give her a strong piping, she's not going to shun you. If you just made her come 3 times in a row, you know what I mean? She's not going to be like...
That was only because of the pills, so now you got to stay with the pills.
She's going to go, well, fuck it, take those pills again. I don't care if you're making me come 3 times within 15 minutes, keep taking the pills. Women are selfish creatures.
I don't say you're wrong, but still. It's a real thing. At that age, it's I would say odds are if you took every single person taking those pills, there's a whole bunch of like ravers that are just taking them because they think they want a boner for the entire night.
Right.
Then there's the group of people that are just, it's literal anxiety that's keeping them from doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
So that pill, rather than doing the physical thing, it's doing a physiological thing and giving them confidence. So they don't need to be taking it. They need to address their issue. And then there's probably a group that physically can't function.
I think that it's a small group, but the anxiety group guys who have anxiety so they can't get it up because of sexual anxiety.
Right.
I think that's probably the most prevalent in that age group.
I would think that's.
But I also still think that that's a very small amount, because I think if you're 20 something and have sexual anxiety, you're probably more likely to just go, I'm just going to watch porn and jerk off instead of trying to get with a girl. Right? Like, if you got anxiety in that fashion, you're probably more going to tend to shy away from even having the opportunity to be turned down or the opportunity to not get it up or whatever it is. I'm not buying that there's really too many guys at 20-something years old who have actual diagnosable, it's diagnosable, but for real diagnosable, like ED. And I'm also willing to bet that most of the guys who are taking dick pills at 60 are also not actually diagnosable ED. If a man cannot get hard without a man-made pill, they have to check their gut health. You knew AB was going to tell you gut health, dog. Get your gut right. I think this is what's happening in the dick pill ED market. I don't think ED is a real thing.
Okay.
I think it's a made up thing that is there was a niche in the market that the pharmaceutical company saw where they were like, hey, we can make millions of dollars. Everybody likes fucking.
Sure.
So let's get them believing that something is wrong so that we could sell them the problem, because there's nothing quite like being the guy who sells the most solutions is the guy who also sells the problem. Okay. Or something like that. I don't know if that, you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean, right?
I think I understand what you're getting at, yeah.
Because I'm looking at it like this, right? Guy's 60 years old. He's been with his old lady for 40 years.
Okay.
Now, he's not as handsome as he used to be.
Sure.
Which also means his old lady's not quite the looker she once was.
Yeah, your eyeballs don't age.
Yeah. So when she was 30 and she was a smoke show, he was getting it up and knocking it out the frame 3 nights a week.
Sure.
And then at 40, he looked at her and he knocked it down when he really started to get a little backed up. And then by 50, his testosterone shut off because he's getting older and he's not doing things to keep his test flowing the way it was, and his sex drive takes a dive. Now, his sex drive would kick up. Let's take this 55-year-old guy who has real zero sex drive because his option is to have sex with a gray, wrinkled, overweight, old lady who he just doesn't find sexually attractive, and who's really the past 10 years, she's just been there because when his bird gets hard just from natural things happening, him looking at a hot young babe, his dick gets hard, she's just there to be his sex toy, for lack of a better way to put it.
Okay.
Right? So you take that same 55-year-old guy who's in decent health and can't get hard with his 55-year-old wife, and you put a smoke show 25-year-old broad in front of him who's into him, right? Not just hey, here's a 25-year-old.
Right.
Here's a 25-year-old who's
active,
reciprocating.
Sure.
Yeah, I guarantee the guy doesn't need a blue chew.
Okay.
So instead of us admitting as a society, hey, women get to be 60 and they're just not attractive.
Right.
It's just that most women at 60 are not sexually attractive.
Okay.
And instead of accepting that as a society, we've put it on men oh, no, your dick's broke.
Right.
You know what I mean? The whole thing has turned of oh, we can't come and say youthful women are attractive and older women are grandmas and are just not attractive.
Sure.
Even to their husbands because they've grown old and haven't taken care of themselves and whatever.
Okay.
We're willing to take that and put it all on Pop and tell him he's fucked up and his dick is broke because he can't get it up.
Okay.
When Payday does that, it's because I've hit the 100% truth.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No, 100%.
So we should all just sleep around, and then we wouldn't need dick pills anymore.
Well, I don't. This is no. I don't think we should sleep around. But let
me take one piece of that.
That may be a solution, and I don't think if we look biologically,
right.
We may, depending on what studies and who you talk to, we may be supposed to be spreading our seed and sleeping around and not settling down with one partner. I don't know.
Let me just ask you this part, and then we can hang your theory up and see what works. Can you? I know it was a lot of drugs involved, but can you remember yourself in the 20s and your sex drive in your 20s?
Yes.
All right, and now you're what, 35?
Yeah.
Is it dramatically different? The drive itself, not the surrounding stuff like, oh, I'm too tired tonight because I worked or whatever. Just the actual mental, I should be fucking right now.
No.
Not too different, right? I can tell you that however old I am, it's not too different than when I was 20.
Right.
Your sex drive, as far as I can tell, mine's not really ever going to change.
Right.
Because if it hasn't started dipping at this point, it's never going to dip. So it's
if at 57 payday has turned 57 this year and
I'm about to have my diamond anniversary and I still have it. It's not going anywhere. So that can't be it. Also, the Viagra and all that stuff doesn't do anything for your sex drive. It's not related to that whatsoever.
Right.
In fact, there's a lot of people who mistakenly think that you just pop the pill and you get a boner. You still have to
stimulated,
perform.
right.
You still have to properly
Yeah, but you
perform.
like blow on your dick a little bit and then it works. Then that happens.
Not for people who are really taking it because they need to. Right? They still have to like be of the mind state and in the right frame of mind to do it. It's still got to work the way it used to. You're just getting back up. Basically, you're getting back up on one of the muscles that keeps the blood in is all that it does.
Right.
So I think there are people, like I said, I think there are people who take it recreationally. I think it's a decent chunk. I'll give it 30%, 35%. I think there's a chunk of people that take it because it's relieving a mental issue. And I think there's also physical issues. I think diabetes can cause some fucking problems down there that you'd rather it didn't. So sometimes you throw some helpers in.
Yeah, I think, I'll tell you when I'm 60.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm on point with it.
You're also in this regard, you're very healthy too, which certainly helps things along, right? The minute you start
that goes back to the whole idea of like we should be prescribing fitness and shit like that rather than pills first.
Sure, but so for argument's sake, right? Let's say like you're a doctor, right? And a 26-year-old fat kid comes in, like overly, like 120 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
Right? And he says, I'm having trouble with my junk. Like I have the desire, but it's not working because of all the fat and all the clogged fucking cholesterol. You're going to tell him, all right, for the next year, don't do anything, but lose some weight, and then you'll be fine in a year and a half. No, you're going to help him along the way. You're going to give him little kickers along the way and say, all right, every time you come back to me and lose 20 pounds, I'll write you another script. Let's go. Let's work together.
I don't know that I'm going to. I could see a doctor doing it. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Well, listen, you want to be. Sometimes that's the movement, right?
Right.
You want to be fucking.
Shame them into it.
Well, get yourself in shape so your bird works.
All right, fair enough. And again, I'm not disagreeing with you that there are like lifestyle components and things like that. Absolutely, I do. But I think it's a real thing. I just think it's, as with most things, it's overstated.
I'll let you know when I'm 60.
All right.
We'll
probably be right here.
We will be, or somewhere else.
Right.
But definitely here. So
it is real quick, just jumping in because I feel like we're between things. Okay.
I know. But it didn't matter last week because we cut it to an hour and the hour episode got 13 views and the 2 hour and a half got 90 views.
That's because we cut out my beats and that's what
I know. I thought we were going to cut just your beats. We didn't get that either.
I have it. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with it.
Oh, I figured you'd just put it in the queue. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so well, just real quick, there's a girl in the chat who says, yeah, but there are old rich dudes with hot babes and they still need dick pills. All I want to say to that girl is I hope that she's not speaking from experience. Right? We don't know what old rich dudes are doing with hot young babes.
She was younger than your marriage once. I mean, you don't know.
I got her fresh out of high school,
That's
cuz
right.
she was a virgin when I met her.
I forgot.
Yeah.
You have told me that before.
Yeah, dude. She was 19 when I scooped her. So in the same lane.
Okay.
And we only support marital sex here.
Yeah.
We don't support premarital, out of wedlock sex.
It's all a sin.
You're going straight to hell.
Yeah. You can't get divorced either. So once you're locked up, and that's that.
That's it.
Yeah.
Me personally,
Sure.
I'm what you call a morning bird.
Okay. Understood.
My wife, an evening beaver.
I understand these issues.
Okay?
I have the opposite issue in my house.
So I get home from my days on the construction site, and I'm usually pretty goddamn exhausted.
You're bushed, as they would say.
And I would love to stay awake and hang out with my wife and watch movies and cuddle and giggle and tickle each other and be cute.
Sure.
But most of the time, once I hit a couch or a bed,
it's over.
After the sun goes down, it's game over for me.
Right.
God forbid my son needs to be held for a little bit. Me and him are both out.
You're hoping for the best, that you don't slump over with him in your arms.
Sometimes I'll sit down to read a nighttime story to Sadie. I get through about 3 pages and then I'm like dozing off. I'm like, all right, baby, you read the rest of it, baby. I'm
it's
toast.
your turn. Read to daddy.
I can't do it. My wife is waking up a few times every night to breastfeed a baby.
Right.
So come 7 o'clock when I'm up and rocking and rolling and getting ready for the day, she
cold.
can't get herself awake because she's been up 4 times breastfeeding a baby.
Makes sense.
So we run into this conundrum where we can't meet in the middle because in the afternoon we got kids.
We're busy and we got kids and everything else. Right.
So I'm trying to find a solution. Now, my wife being a woman and acting as such,
sure,
I don't think that she sees the concept, right? Of like where I stay up to hang out with her and consummate our marriage on a once a week basis or so, because right now we have a 4-month-old, so once a week's pretty solid for that a newborn.
We got obstacles.
Yeah. So I say like, hey, imagine me telling you I need you to wake up at 6:30 when I'm up, so that we could have a little morning sex before I go to work.
Right.
And to her, that's outrageous. But to me, it seems like pretty much the same thing as me staying up until 11 o'clock.
Right.
To be able to do it, right? So we need to find a solution somewhere in the middle where everybody's happy and we could do more sex every week.
Yeah, I mean, everybody does.
And I just can't seem... really, the only solution is the one in which fathers across the world find themselves in, and that is putting what they want to the side to make their wife and their children happy.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep, That's what it is. You have your opinion and you're entitled to it. It just doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. It matters to you, but you go ahead and just pretend that it doesn't.
Right.
You know?
You eat it.
You go, am I going to fight for this one? No. I got work. I got to go fight in the... This is the reality. I have to go out into the world and fight for a paycheck and fight against guys who aren't working on the job site and fight against customers who tell me they're going to try and bring me to court. I'm not going to fight with my wife. Right. I'm just going to try and stay up till 11 o'clock. Just
roll with it and take the crumbs that she offers me off the table, and we'll see what happens.
There really is no solution.
No,
and I think I would assume that most relationships, I think, right? I don't think that if I look at people I know who have relatively successful longer-term relationships, I don't think that I see them as being... I think I more see them as being opposites in a lot of fields.
Sure.
The old opposites attract, right? The old OA.
Yeah.
And I think that is true in a lot of cases, that there's like a lot of things where you mesh with your partner because they're good in one field that you're not so good in, and you can do this thing and they don't want to do this thing, right?
So there's this thing that a lot of women pitch, and I find that it comes from women more often than men, and it's the whole we're a team thing.
Right.
But it seems to always come up when like they want you to do exactly what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
So like, oh, I'm doing this, you should be doing it with me. We're a team. But in my mind, my retort to that is always, I don't know. The greatest teams I've ever seen, like the late 90s Lakers.
Yeah.
It's Kobe and Shaq. And they both do entirely different things that feed off of each other. And that's why they're a great team. Not because they both do the same exact thing. If you have the two people on your team doing the same exact thing, you're not going anywhere.
Somebody's
you're
missing
just
the other thing.
Bumping heads all the time.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think, yeah, we're a team when you need help. But this is how it works,
No,
right?
I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
I'm speaking from experience. I'm not guessing.
That's how it works, is that, like, they would, I think a lot of women, alpha wife, alpha life, right? Mm-hmm. Let's talk alpha wife. I think there's more alpha women today than ever.
Sure. They've been emboldened by the internet.
Once we gave them the goddamn right to vote, it's all downhill from there.
Completely nosedive. Now they're working and everything.
I think an alpha woman would rather hit you with, like, we're a team, instead of saying, like, what she perceives as herself saying, like, I can't do this. I can't.
She doesn't want to
I'm
defer.
weak. Yeah, I'm weak in this field. I need you to help me.
Right.
Which, in our relationship, I feel like we had a problem for a very long time with my alpha wife not wanting to ask for help. And I would say, just ask me. Anything that you ask me, I will do, because I love you and I am here to help you. And it took a lot of time for us to get to the point where she, like, simple stuff, where she would be like, the dishes need to be done, and she's got to vacuum and fold clothes and run to the store, but instead of saying, can you do the dishes for me, she would do it all and then be pissed off.
And then be mad.
Because she didn't want to ask.
Right.
Because there was this alpha mentality of, like, I can't ask for help.
Right. I got to do this myself. I'm strong.
Right.
Like, all right, you could be strong, and you can be strong and still get assistance.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong at all with saying, I got 19 things to do today. Can you take 2 of them off my plate,
right.
please? It's not a big deal.
Absolutely. And we've gotten to the point where, like, I know what she mostly needs. If it's above and beyond the regular situation, she may have to ask. But for the most part, I'm a step ahead of her, and I know what you need to have.
You get to the point now where she starts yelling at you, like, instead of why didn't you do that, you go and do it, and then she says, I was just telling you that it was a problem. I wasn't asking you to fix the problem.
Oh, well, we went through that for a while too. That was, she would, whatever was wrong, I would start coming up with solutions.
Trying to take care of it. Right.
My way to, and this is, I think this is men in general. The difference between men and women in general, well, not across the board, but mostly, is that if you are a man and you bring a problem in your life to your male friends and say, hey, I'm jammed up with money. I'm trying to work as many hours as I can to get some more, and it's just not happening. Your buddies are going to start going, oh, well, look, I got a buddy who works on the weekends. I could give you his phone number. You can call him, see if he's got some shifts.
I'm not calling you to tell you about my issue just so I can lay it off on you.
Right.
And I may not directly ask you. I may say, oh, man, it's killing me. I'm not making my bills this month. But what I'm really saying is, do you know any way I can come up with some extra money? Right?
Right.
So I treat, when she says something, the same way. I'm having this trouble with my leg where, okay, so did you try massaging the leg? I was just trying to tell you about the pain.
Right.
Why?
They just want you to hear them out, which doesn't, it's like one of those fundamental differences between men and women that we can't comprehend, that you just need to talk about the problem and don't want the solution to it. No. Where men would be like, well, like if I'm giving you a problem and then you give me a solution,
we're brainstorming. That's
we're trying to let's get to a solution here, get this thing fixed and out of the way.
Yeah.
Anthony, what's happened, brother? Good to see you here.
It's good, Ant.
AB, at the same time, you being her man, you should automatically do those things if you see it instead of waiting for her to ask, which...
Agreed. But then that's where you get into
in
the
time,
whole...
I've become to do that, yeah.
But that's when you get into the whole, I didn't ask you to do that.
Well...
I could have taken care of it if you would have just left it there. And even there's a certain amount of spite in helping out unprompted.
I can see that. I don't have to deal with that.
Right.
But I can see That's not an unrealistic attitude that I wouldn't understand. At this point, we are at a spot where, like, if I do some shit to help her, she is grateful, and I try and see what she needs. Like, I can't
Try to head it off at the pass.
I would love to come home from work and be able to sit down and kick it.
Right.
But there's chores to do.
Yeah.
I could not sit down and start watching YouTube and just go,
She'll get them.
she'll figure it all out, right? You gotta help her out. I was saying that to say another point, and I forgot what it was. But so whatever. All this comes back to I can't figure out how to get my wife to do morning sex at 5:30 in the morning. I'm just trying to do morning sex at 5 a.m. and then go to work, and it's not cutting it for me.
No,
It's not happening. I don't know, man. I don't know. So we got it's the end of the year.
It is. Another successful year, I'm told.
Another successful year here at the Gig Podcast. We earned 7 subscribers this year. We started this year at 290 subscribers. Now we're at 297.
But it's a strong 297.
Tomorrow we'll probably be at 294. But we're still going.
3 women are going to check out after listening to the show.
My wife just unsubscribed. And every once in a while, there's an invention that comes along and changes the world.
Sure.
We had Alexander Graham Bell with the telephone.
Of course.
We had Al Gore with the internet.
The internet, the series of tubes.
Yeah. We've got electric cars and Tesla.
Right.
Although he didn't really create it, but he really...
We'll do that. That's fine.
He really figured it out.
For the sake of this, we're good.
We've nominated and we've elected the Gigmen of the Year on the basis of the invention that he's brought to basically change the world for the better. And in New Jersey, I'm not sure that this is something that is, it'll make its way here.
I'm sure it
and
will.
It'll get a little bit of use. And these are some words that I thought I'd never utter, but the Gigman of the Year is a Canadian. It's true.
That's like winning it twice for an American.
So I'd like you to play the video of the Gigman of the Year and his invention, his world-changing invention, and then we'll give it a shot. It's a quick 2-minute video. Hopefully it all connects and plays the way with the with the music, with the noise and all that.
You good to go? Ready?
Yep.
Yeehaw! Wow! I've got this electric cargo bike, and the idea came to me last year to try putting a plow on the front of it and seeing if I could push it along. And it worked surprisingly well. And then I made a second version of the plow that's more of kind of a split design. And
what an innovator!
Yeah, I finally had the opportunity last night to take it out for a bit of a test ride.
I got to get one of these for screwing his electric bike.
He's gonna hurt his elbow again.
I kind of went out, not really expecting to be out
now,
for very long, but
the guy's almost exactly what you expect him to look like.
Pretty much, yeah.
Once I got started,
Like they plucked him right out of Seattle.
Were
yeah,
waving at me,
Vancouver.
He's
from Vancouver.
Sister cities.
It was really a fun.
And if I'm correct, it looks like he's living in a tow-behind RV.
Vietnamese food.
Okay.
Which is he probably lives from parking lot to parking lot,
Right.
and it parks up, then rides his bike everywhere.
Right.
Like looking and kind of laughing.
And what he's saying here is that everybody was getting a kick. I would love to see a guy.
Working so well.
I love it.
I was biking along, and there was just a wave of snow on either side, just blasting around me. And then, of course, I passed a few pedestrians and a few cyclists.
So
he's just out here on the bike, clearing the path.
Appliances, and this is how I get around. Is this
So
bike?
everything that
also,
we can shut it off. We saw enough. We see what's going on here.
All right. I want to give him his full. He's the Gigman of the Year.
We don't know his name. We don't know the Gigman of the Year's name, but he is the Gigman of the Year because this here embodies everything that Gigmen are.
Okay.
One, his career is an appliance repairman.
Okay.
So he's a blue-collar
Working
guy.
with his hands.
He works for himself as an appliance repairman.
Self-employed.
Self-employed blue-collar guy.
He's ticking all the boxes.
He's a bike rider. You know the Gigmen love a good bike ride.
Absolutely.
Usually we lean towards BMX, but hey, if you got an electric pedal bike, that's fine too. 2 wheels is 2 wheels, no matter how you slice it. He was able to like innovate and put those two ideas together that he needs to get places. He has the ability to fabricate something, so let me do it.
Right.
But what puts the icing on the cake,
So to speak.
is that he's doing a thing for the public.
Right. It's not just for him.
Right.
It is helpful around the clock. It's helpful to everyone. It solves a problem for him, but he has no problem with the fact that it's solving the problem for everyone.
Exactly. And I'm sure that there's a little bit of that, because if besides that it's solving the problem for everyone else, he's clearing bike paths as he goes, right?
Right.
He's also solving the problem of like maybe most appliance repair guys go, sorry, we can't get there.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of snow in the way.
Not this guy. Your washer's going to work tomorrow. Don't even worry about it.
He's out there. So gosh bless him.
Imagine he gets to your house to fix the washing machine and he plows your driveway at the same time. You realize the tips this guy's
What a
getting?
friggin' guy, you know?
It's out of hand.
I thought it was hilarious. I think it's tremendous. I thought it was hilarious when I saw it.
I'll say this. I think it's a very smart idea. I think you go out there and you're a bike rider and you say they don't clear the paths. I'm going to figure out how to clear the paths. I think that's I think that's wonderful. I like the fact that this was picked up on and became a major news story, that basically shoveling the snow became that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful.
I like that it became a major news story because it wasn't some bullshit to kick up dust.
Right.
It wasn't a news. The news was like, hey, we've got 17 stories today that are all fear or anxiety inducing. I guess we can let one happy story slide in
there.
there.
There's a little bit of humanity for you so you can get some rest tonight.
We'll let one decent story slide in. We'll put it in at the end and kind of send them off on their way with a little bit of happiness.
We'll help you a little bit with your anxiety. Here's a good person.
Here's kind of what I want to do, P.
Okay.
I want to watch that short that I sent you.
Okay.
Break that down. And then let's come back next week with the remainder of the list.
The remainder of your list or my list?
The beats.
Okay.
Let's come back next week and put together the rest of the beats because we're already late in the game. I'd rather like next week we'll keep it tight to 9 o'clock, then we'll go with the beats.
That's fine. I figured it was going to take till the end of January to have everything completed anyway, so that doesn't push out my time frames at all.
So
I got to make sure, because the way the shorts work, is this the one you want to do?
No, not her.
Oh.
The room raider.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
There's
Sorry.
two men. Yep. I'll tell you this. The gig woman of the year, all people should be of more service for others. I think that people don't understand that doing for your surroundings and your community and the cipher around you, AB, is what builds the cipher inside of you. And I think that the people who understand that have a better life and an easier time in life when you figure out that doing for others is the key to like keeping yourself happy and moving forward. I don't know how it all connects. I don't know the inner workings of why being a person in service to the community translates to being a person who is happy with yourself and feels good about things, but that's just how it works.
I think helping other people, helping the world be a better place in whatever capacity you do it, is the external equivalent of dealing with your gut biome internally. Like it's the piece that makes all the other pieces that you don't even think are related function better and function cleaner and smoother.
Yeah.
I think that like when you can do your job and do your job well, fine, and you get paid for it, and that's great, and you can be proud of that. But to unprovoked help another person and make their day even a little bit better, there's nothing tops that for like your own mental well-being. Like if I can do this, anybody can do this, and if anybody can do this, maybe we're gonna be all right for tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Yeah, gives you a little
Little
serotonin boost.
Yeah.
So I'm watching shorts lately.
Okay.
I get stuck in them, and I hate myself for it because then I feel like I just watched TikTok. I hate it every time.
Where'd that last hour and a half go?
Bro, I hate it. I get stuck in them. YouTube gets me because I'm like, I'm scrolling looking for like something to listen to in the background.
Right.
And then I see a short, and I'm like, oh, let me see what this is. And then I flip to the next one. And then I flip to the next one. And then I'm watching shorts for 15 minutes, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, get your life together.
It's got to be something I could be doing. Does my wife need help with something?
So into my shorts feed has popped Patrick Ridge TV.
Okay.
Which this guy, Patrick Ridge, is a guy who owns a recovery house in California.
Okay.
It's an interesting... He's got some interesting things because he puts fights with his wife online. Like, it feels much less recovery house and much more
Real world
YouTube.
house?
Yeah,
Okay.
YouTube reality TV.
Okay.
Like, I'm sure he started as a guy who wanted to help people. And now I think he shifted to, I'm going to do the things that get the views so we can get these YouTube checks.
Okay.
I'm not mad at you doing whatever you wanted to do for the views and for the check. There comes a point, though, when you kind of have to see where your morals stand amongst it. I'm not going to do anything for YouTube views that combats my morals that I stand to and rock with in reality. So I come across this one particular short. And I have experience in the field of living in recovery houses and being recovered. And this rubbed me the wrong way. We'll play it real quick so you can see what it is. And then I'm going to annihilate this guy.
All right, we're going to play it through?
Yeah. It's only 50 seconds or whatever.
This kid's gotten drunk at least 2 or 3 times this weekend.
So stop. We'll do it this way.
Okay.
This kid's got drunk at least 2 or 3 times this week.
Not the guy on the screen.
No.
The guy on the screen is whose house it is. It's one of his boarders.
He's like, so this guy's like a house manager, right?
Okay.
Which means most likely he moved into this house 4 years ago and just hasn't left.
Right.
He's one of the guys who hasn't figured out that there's more to life than going to a meeting, right?
He's the incel who got stuck on incel.
He's stuck there. So so they were like, well, if you're not going to leave, then at least let's make you useful to us.
Right.
And you are now the house manager. And a house manager, there's different, kind of ways to set up recovery houses. The house manager idea is one where this guy kind of runs things. He's like the teacher, you know?
Okay.
He's the babysitter of it all, making sure nothing crazy happens. So he's the house manager. He probably lives there, hasn't moved out for 4 years because the guy can't get his head on straight enough to go live a real life. And he has a guy there who keeps drinking. He said this kid has gotten drunk 2 or 3 times this week. He hasn't stopped drinking.
Okay.
Now, what that tells me before anything else is like, oh, this house is like, you guys are about the bread.
Okay.
Right? Because any spot that was about people being sober had a zero tolerance policy.
Sure.
They're like, look, we're going to let you stay here. If you use, you got to go. You got, there's places that were like, you got 15 minutes to pack your shit and go if you use. That's how serious this is, because that immediately jeopardizes everybody else in the house.
Sure.
So it's a zero tolerance policy. These guys go, okay, you shouldn't have drank, but your dad keeps paying us every week to keep you here, so we don't want to have to go through the headache of finding another guy, losing that money for the next 2 weeks, that $200 that you're paying.
Right.
So that tells me that about the house. And instead of that happening, this guy starts tearing shit apart. Play the video, Pay.
What is this? It's like, I'm done letting this fucking happen.
He's feigning anger.
Look how fucking dirty this is.
Where's his laundry at, bro?
So the thing that he's doing right now, he's pretending to search. He's pretending to search for a bottle.
Is he even I don't feel like he's even pretending. He just looks like he's tossing the room.
Well, he is tossing the room under the guise that he's pretending to find the bottle. Boom, weed pen. Cameraman grabs the weed pen out of the way. Let me put that in my pocket.
Can use that later.
Yeah. Because this is that California bullshit where they're like, if there's nothing said about the house, all right, pause them.
Kill it.
So you saw what it was. This guy walks in and starts tearing the room apart.
Yeah.
And talking like, I'm sick of this shit.
Right.
Never really once did what attempted to look like was an attempt to like actually look through a drawer.
No.
Dumped his shit, never looked through it. So you're not really trying to find a bottle.
Right. You're really just tossing his room.
You're playing this game like you are this is a CO move.
Okay.
Right? In the joint, they come in when they're pissed off at you guys, and they toss everything everywhere to inconvenience you. So this guy comes in who has lived at this house for 4 years because he can't get his head on straight. His entire life is this house, which, you know what? I can't be too mad. If you found a thing that keeps you sober, do what keeps you sober. But when you get this little goofy power trip thing,
right,
and don't look at the reality of the situation and start acting in this fashion, I'm going to tell you, if this kid's struggling with drinking, right? He's drank 3 times this week. You know what's going to definitely get him sober?
Throwing his shit on the floor.
Throw his shit all over the place. Be a real piece of shit to him, because that's going to be the thing that gets him sober.
I've never had to deal with addiction on this level personally. I know people who have, and I don't necessarily know the intimate details of how they survived or worked through it. But in my mind, even though, different people respond to different things, I don't see how anybody responds to that appropriately. Hey, you got drunk last night, so I threw your shit on the floor.
Right.
Clean it up and don't get drunk anymore.
Right.
I don't understand the correlation there at all for helping you. If you like you said, I'm sure that there are strict houses that say the minute I find out you're drunk, you got to go, because I don't want anybody else thinking that getting drunk just once is okay and we can write it off.
Right.
And I get that level of strictness in such a dire issue. But I don't understand where causing problems and causing damage is going to be the thing that's going to make this person go, oh, I guess I shouldn't drink anymore because now I have to make my bed. I'm being,
So yeah. Anthony, that's a fair point. And you may very well be right. I'm going with my experience in these kind of situations, and from what I'm seeing, right, is that an addict or an alcoholic, right, is walking around and they got at least two things going on. One is that they're angry,
okay,
whether it be at the world or at themselves, usually, and they don't want to take responsibility for themselves.
Right.
It's very few and far between that you find a peaceful addict who takes responsibility for his actions. Otherwise, he'd be a sober addict at that point. You know what I mean? So he's drinking and he's having a problem. So obviously, he's still in this anger and no responsibility for myself. What you've done here is that you have given this kid another thing to be mad at that's not himself.
And I feel like you've also given him something else to drink about. Like, oh man, I really fucked up, and your escape from fucking up in the past is drinking.
That's the thing. You give him something else to be mad at. Now, I'm not saying that the kid is right.
No.
You're not. He's not right if he goes,
he failed.
Fuck you. You're gonna throw my shit. I'm just gonna go. That's stupid.
Yeah.
But you have to. The way to get through, I think, is not the CO thing.
No, I don't think so.
There may be a small portion of addicts that works for.
Yeah.
But I think it's really that you have to get to somebody and connect and build a kind of a trust to be able to get into their brain to show them what has happened in your brain.
I think the trust is a good word. I think if I take this guy at his purest form, he's trying to instill a certain amount of fear in the other person, saying, hey, look, this is what's going to happen if you keep drinking. This is your life if you keep drinking. This is no good. You don't want this to keep happening, and the way to avoid it is to control your issue.
Right.
So if I take him at his purest, that's what he's doing. There's other ways to accomplish that without yourself looking like a shithead.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk through it to get you to the point where, look at all these things that have already happened in your life that are fucked up. You want to stop them. This is how you stop them. Not, hey, you got drunk and when you came home, your weed pen was missing and you don't want that to happen, so you better stop drinking.
I am a firm believer that peace and love can ultimately conquer most anything.
I think so.
Now, you may have to bump your head against the wall a lot of times using peace and love, but it does one thing that this kind of shit doesn't do. This will push a person away. This will go, so now instead of this CO being able to share his wealth of knowledge that he's gained over the past however many years that he's been sober, instead of him sitting down to share that with this kid, even if this kid stays in the house and stops drinking, he doesn't want to fuck with this. He goes, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
You're a dickhead. I'm not talking to you. Like, whatever. Right. I'll follow your rules. I'll clean my shit up. But go drink cum, faggot.
Stick it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't want no parts of this bullshit.
Do you get the feeling, I mean, again, a 60-second video, we don't know everything. You get the feeling that the person who we're upset about is, you think they're there voluntarily, or you think they're stuck there?
Here's the other thing. Here's the caveat here.
Okay.
I also kind of get the feeling, because I've seen a bunch of videos from these guys, that the person who drank 2 or 3 times that week doesn't even really exist.
Oh, okay. That makes this 20 times as vile.
Yeah.
That makes this, it's vile on its surface. And that makes it so many more levels of vile that you're literally doing this. Now you're just strictly doing it for the views.
Yeah.
At least before, I could make the case that perhaps you're doing it so you're hoping someone else in this situation sees it and says, I don't want this for myself.
Right.
But if you're flat out making up the person that you're tossing your own room, pretending it like someone else's room so that you can show what a tough guy you are,
yeah,
you're the fucking scum of the earth.
The more that you see of Patrick Ridge TV, the wilder these dudes look. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the guy who's wrong, because I'm a guy who got sober how I got sober. I didn't.
And you come into all of this very skeptically to begin with.
Yeah.
From your experience, you're always going to look at this with a negative eye to start.
Yeah. Maybe not negative. I'm just looking at it with an eye.
Well, it's at least a skeptical eye.
Yeah.
Not necessarily negative, but you're immediately skeptical of all of this, because it seems like, in your opinion, most of what you went through wasn't successful because it wasn't the appropriate approach.
No. Most of what I went through was because, I don't know, because I was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
Because here's what it boils down to is, and it's kind of completely, I guess, unrelated to this, but what it really, I think, for me boils down to was when I was only responsible for loving myself.
Right.
I didn't care.
Right.
I just don't. I look at life as so, like, here today, going tomorrow, and then we don't know any better.
Right.
When I had myself to be responsible for, I just didn't. I was living like a heathen.
Right. Because you hated yourself.
And then you put somebody for me to be responsible for who was not able to be responsible for themselves. And then it put me in a position of, oh, okay, I now I'm letting you down, and if I let you down, you don't eat, or you wind up as a stripper on a pole somewhere.
Let's not rule that out. But what I'm saying is,
please rule it out, please.
That's the whole goal. We're trying to rule it out. But all I'm saying is this, right? So at a certain point, you're going through and nothing's working. None of the treatments are working. None of the anything is working. And then there's this change that happens inside of you mental. It's a it's an outside thing, but it's a mental change in your thinking.
Yeah.
That directs you in a different path.
Yeah.
There's nothing that says that the appropriate approach 3 years earlier couldn't have brought on a similar mental change with other circumstances, right? There's nothing that says had someone at a certain point in time when you were in North Jersey approached you in the right way and made you think of yourself as a more important person, and a person who needs to take care of themselves because no one else will.
Yeah.
That change couldn't have happened earlier. It's just that no one had that approach. Most people, it seems like, have more like this guy's approach where it's either, fuck you, just stay out of my way, we're trying to collect money, or if you push your luck, we're just going to push back and fuck you anyway.
Yeah.
So that, and then now we're speculating that this guy's just pretending to say, fuck you, I'm not helping you.
It's ridiculous.
There's a lot of the world that I just can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, AB, I've told a few stories. I don't know if you've caught those episodes of my days at Bo Robinson, and the kind of guys who worked there were like, they were like these guys.
They were paycheck guys.
You know what I mean? Like you're a jerk off. Like you're getting your shits and giggles.
And ultimately, this guy
out of some little silly power trip. Because here's the thing. Most of those guys who worked at Bo Robinson, guys like this, right? You put them in a room with the guys who are underneath of them at this point. Strip away all titles and names. They don't have charisma. They don't have a natural magnetism. They're not funny. They're not like personable. They don't have the skills that a lot of these guys under them. It's almost a jealousy thing of like, haha, now I'm better than you because of my position here. And I'm going to flex it.
And on top of that, there's a level of safety in what he's doing.
Yeah.
Right? If the person whose room is turned over and comes back furious at him, nothing's really going to happen to him, right? In the real world, if you toss my room, I'm going to fucking knock you out. Soon as you
flip my bunk, we're getting busy. Done, right? We're going to get down.
Right.
But and you might beat me up.
But we're still going.
We're still going to go. Yeah. We're going to get after it.
Yeah.
So I give Patrick Ridge some views, Bo. Give him a shot as you're browsing YouTube Shorts, any of you guys, and you tell me if you think that it's all
just a shtick.
Yeah, just a big shtick. I think he's just, I think he's doing more to hurt whatever the recovery situation is around him,
right,
than to actually help it. Because in my mind, and this is just me, right? I rarely, sometimes on the gig, I'm not like quiet about it.
Right.
But I also don't lean into the recovery thing, right? The sobriety thing. I don't lead with my sobriety.
No.
And I don't think that leading with your sobriety is a thing that really reaches the people it needs to reach. I think that, I'll tell you this, I'm not a 12-step.
You know me.
I'm not a 12-step guy.
Right.
Not mad at the 12 steps, but they're not my twist.
It's not your thing.
But they do have, and maybe we talked about this last week, maybe not.
Okay.
There is they have 12 steps and 12 traditions.
Okay.
And I think one of the traditions, I don't know which one, is we lead with attraction rather than promotion.
Okay.
Right? So the idea is like, be your regular, charismatic, fun, caring, personable self, and the person who needs a little bit of that in their life is going to see it, and they will be attracted to it. If you lead with, hey, I'm sober and you could get sober too, or if you come here and this, I'm telling you, you could change this about your life, you could change that about your life if you would just listen to me. Like, for that,
you're not going to snake oil your salesman way out of addiction.
Yeah, that's not a thing that connects. You just being you, and then maybe one day in a conversation, you casually mention like, oh yeah, I've been off the shit for 6 years.
Right.
Then that guy goes, well, how did you do that? And you have a connection. You're not trying to sell him something.
Right.
You're just dropping a sentence.
Just a point of fact.
Yeah, this is just a thing that, hey, here's a thing that I did.
Right.
A while ago. If you want to know more, you ask me.
We'll talk about it, but I'm not here to. It's not on my shirt.
It's never. I don't think it's ever a good thing to lead with that first. Maybe there's some, if you're going into a situation where the idea is like, hey, we want you to talk about this, yeah, you lead with that.
If it's the actual topic on hand.
But day-to-day life, you getting caught, especially for the person who is sober, getting caught inside of my main characteristic is that I'm a sober person.
I'm fighting addiction.
You're always going to be fighting addiction.
Right.
And the whole idea to get sober is so you don't have to fight that shit anymore. I don't fight addiction on a day-to-day basis.
We've had this conversation before, and I fully disagree with you, but
yeah, but you can't though, because you never walked that.
I understand, but I can disagree with you because I can watch you and I can pay attention. I think that you are certainly way ahead of the game as far as fighting off your addiction. And I understand your whole, you don't lead with it if it's not necessary. And you don't want it to be your personality.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of people who it just is their personality.
Right.
And I get all that. And you're not like them. And I absolutely get that. And I absolutely am amazed at your story that it's just like, I was in the terrible shits and then all of a sudden I made a left turn and I'm good.
Right.
And it's an incredible thing. But you do fight it even if it's not like an outward thing. You still avoid certain things. You still don't go to certain places. You still don't drive past certain things just so you don't even want to think about it.
But that's not particularly true.
But it is. We've talked about it. We've talked about certain things that like I wouldn't want to have this in my house because...
I mean, I don't go order Chinese food on the Ave, but mostly because Kensington Ave Chinese food is probably cat.
Sure.
If they had a bomb-ass Chinese place and I wanted China... Like, I've worked out that way and it doesn't bother me.
So I'll put it this way. You can actively be fighting you can be fighting something without actively fighting it. You don't have to get up every morning and say, today I'm not going to be an addict for another straight day.
Right.
And still be fighting it. You can still get in your mind say, well, I'm not going to find myself in X, Y, or Z because it could be a problem. I'm going to make sure that I look at Sadie every day.
Yeah, but that's
and remember how much I care for her.
That's the same as you, a guy who was never had an addiction problem, going, I'm not going to go walking down Broadway in Camden with a iced out chain on because I don't want that problem.
Right, but that's
not you fighting against Broadway. That's not you fighting against robbery.
It's fighting against me getting shot. It is. It's actively fighting.
It's making it's making the smart choice in your life
to not put yourself in a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
So
you're not fighting against the bad situation. You're making the smart choice. But you're making the educated choice in the situation.
But that's still a fight, right?
No, it's just making a choice. It's not a fight.
I never understand why you want to minimize what you've done. I really don't. But yeah, you describing me on the corner with the chain is the same exact thing as you deciding not to be on the corner where they sell blow because you don't even want to like think about that because that's just a bad place for you to be. And it's a worse place for you to be than it is for me to be.
Yeah, but it's just a bad place in general to be for anybody.
And
it's the smart choice not to. It's the smart choice in life to not hang out on a crack spot.
Especially if you used to be a crack addict.
Yeah, it's not a fight against that. It's not a fight against anything.
Of course it is, because
you're making the choice that you make as a family man.
You spent your whole 20s hanging out on that corner.
I'm sober on coming up 7 years. I don't fight it per se on a daily basis, but don't get it twisted. I don't let my guard down on that motherfucker for a minute.
That's a reasonable.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah. You don't get up and say, like I said, you don't get up and say, I'm going to take a bottle of liquor and dump it down the sink every single day just so that the liquor knows it can't win. But you also say, I'm not going to go to this particular event because they're giving away free alcohol and I don't want to find myself drinking with my friends. You know what I mean?
One may say that, or one may go get drunk on Christmas Eve and then not ever get drunk again until next Christmas Eve. I had a few glasses of Coquito. That's it. It's over now. Like, I'm not. There's no fight. I didn't wake up. Look, I didn't wake up
I was picking out. You were never an alcoholic. Were you? I'm just picking that out of necessity.
I did not have a couple of glasses of Coquito at my sister's house on Christmas Eve and then go, oh man, I really want to go to Lakeshore Drive and get a 20 sag right now, but I have to fight against that feeling.
Yes,
no,
you're ahead.
I just don't. I know that that's not going to happen.
You're ahead of the game. You're doing very well for yourself. but there's still things that you will avoid. There's still things you'd rather not think about because you just don't even want to consider that it was even part of your reality.
Yeah, but I'm not fighting it. I'm not actively fighting something.
I'm agreeing with you that it's not an.
I've already fought.
And now it's built into your life.
I already did the fighting. I won.
You remodeled the house, and now you live in the new house. But
I
you still
won.
Remodeled.
Because here's the other thing: is that they pounded into you that like you're always going to be an addict, but you don't always have to be an addict. You don't always have to have that be a thing. Like
I think that depends on the person. I'm going to say that you can't make that as a blanket statement.
I'm making it as a statement from the experience of myself and other guys around me like me who have decided that they are not going to always be an addict. And if guys like me and Fat Kella and Screw Tape can all go, you know what? We're not going to be addicts anymore because we went this route. And granted, we did not take your conventional 12-step route to sobriety. So maybe,
which is fine.
So maybe that has something to do with it. But it doesn't have I don't believe that it has to do with the caliber of your addiction. I believe that it has to do with the caliber of your mindset in your sobriety.
So every person who's woken up and said, I no longer want to be on this path, but winds up back on the path again, what happened? Were they just not being honest with themselves when they said they were done with it?
They just didn't find the right solution for them at that time.
Okay.
And I think that for me and for Keller and for Screw and for a couple other guys who probably would rather not be named, the biggest thing was that for a long time you're sold, everybody is sold this idea that methadone treatment is the worst idea ever. And you're just going to get fucked up on methadone, then you're going to be strung out on that.
Right.
And for me, the reality was that was the best idea ever because that was the thing that gave me the time to figure out the solution and then get off it.
It bought you some time so that you could get your head straight.
It wasn't a pleasant thing to like get off of it, but it was also the best solution for me at that time. The right solution met the right time for me.
Right.
I don't know that I really had any say in it other than there was a bit of luck involved.
Everything lined up. If you had been on the methadone a year earlier or a year later, it may not have
It may have been the worst thing ever.
Right.
But I exhausted all the other options and they didn't work. And then this option worked. And then there was a baby involved and all that. But
you changed your focus.
I think actually I know because you've said it, right? That you think like you're different than a guy who can't get it together, right? Like you were able to make a left turn and figure it out and go forward.
Right.
But these other guys are out here and they keep bumping their heads and they keep bumping their heads.
Right.
But I'm not any different. I was bottom of the barrel, couldn't stop. I just happened to meet I just happened to meet the right solution at the right time and have all the information already built in to start putting it to action.
You have to be at least moderately different because there's way more people that want to make that left turn than actually do, than actually complete the left turn. You weren't the first person to say, I'm going to get sober and that's it, and now I'm sober and we're good. There's plenty of people who have had that in their mind. I'm going to do everything it takes. I'm going to get sober.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work out for them. And again, you minimize this achievement, and I'm never really quite sure why, but I'm going to assume that it has something to do with your jail life and the humility that was kind of coached up in your that window of time. But what you did is a monumental accomplishment, regardless of how you got there, and you're underselling the people who aren't able to make that accomplishment by acting as if, I just decided I was done.
No, but because they can make that accomplishment.
No, not everyone can.
They might not have been able to do it last week. Maybe they can't do it, and maybe next week ain't it. But if you keep trying, you can do it. I will refuse to, because I know who I was.
But you just told me.
I know.
Hold on.
You see this guy in front of you.
You just told me that at least a part of it was dumb luck.
Yeah.
The timing of everything.
Yeah.
So everybody.
So if you keep trying,
if you just
one
have
of these
some dumb
times,
luck, eventually it'll work.
if you don't give up on trying,
Right.
at one of these points, luck is going to intersect with the right time and the right solution for you. And your mindset is going to be in the right place.
If Sadie was never part of this picture at all.
Yeah.
And that was a part of the quote unquote luck, right? That was a big part. What happens to you?
There may be something else. Maybe there was another thing. I don't know. It may have. It probably would have been a little bit longer at least.
Okay.
Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I would have died before I got to it.
That doesn't count as beating your addiction.
No, it does. It doesn't. But what I'm saying is that I will refuse to ever say that there's some people who can't get it, because I don't think that that's reality. I think that
you think they're just choosing not to get it. Like you think there's people who wake up and say, "No, I really like being bankrupt and homeless and drinking beer."
I think that there comes a moment in time when you have to make a hard decision.
Okay.
And that hard decision is, do I give in to this feeling that is with everything in me pulling me to want to go get high, or do I keep not getting high like I did today and yesterday before it? Now, for me, the reason that I could not go get high when that feeling was pulled, because I had medicinal assistance for a period of time.
Sure.
And I think that if you're a guy who can't get it and you've tried everything to fucking get it and you can't,
try that.
You might need medicinal assistance. And don't let somebody shame you to tell you like, oh no, you can't, that's not really being sober. Like, yeah, it's not, but who cares about the title of being sober? We want you to have your life back together.
Right.
We want you to be happy with yourself, and we want you to be able to feed yourself and have a house and have family and shit. Yeah. We don't care what the title is, whether you're sober, you're on medicine, you might need other kinds of medicine to keep you sober. That's not related to the addiction. Like maybe you're a schizophrenic, and part of the reason you keep going back to use it is because you're having schizophrenic episodes. Like whatever it takes. Don't let somebody tell you can't take a medicine if it's going to help you.
No, I'm with you.
Who cares about the title? We care about here at the gig.
It doesn't matter
we don't
how you
care
got
about the
there.
title.
We just want you to get there.
We want the results.
Yeah.
We don't care
You don't have to show
how
your
you
work.
get to them. You don't have to show your work. And you can get there. Certain addictive brains do not want to change, and that's why they continue to bump their heads. That may be true. That may be true. But if you don't want to change, then you don't want to change. Then you didn't not succeed.
But you
kept going because you wanted to.
So he said certain addictive brains. He didn't say people. You don't ever find yourself, not just in this topic, you don't ever find yourself fighting with your brain, like your brain has an idea and the rest of you's like, nah, this whole, the other voice
the Krang?
that you hear. Right.
I at a point, I think I did, but here's...
I'm not talking just this particular topic. I'm talking in general. Like Krang never shouts some shit at you and you're just like, get the fuck out of here, Krang. No.
This was
we're
as
not,
far
we're
as
not
I
taking
can
the
think
truck
of,
and swerving it into the other lane to knock that bitch out because she tried to cut us off.
As far as I can think of, this is the only topic that would come at me in that fashion of like where I had to, but that wasn't, I had to overrule it. It wasn't, that wasn't the main Krang.
Oh, there was a different Krang? There's other Krangs?
That wasn't the main Krang, dog. No, that is like, these are powerful chemicals.
Sure.
Right? So these chemicals take a hold of your brain chemistry.
Which is all just chemicals, yeah.
Right. And so that main voice, that main consciousness, if you're fighting, right, the one that you're fighting against, the crazy idea comes in your head, hey, you've had your life straightened out for 7 years.
Right. Let's celebrate.
Let's fucking party.
Right.
Let's book a trip to Colombia and do some roll. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. The voice that comes in to say that is not my consciousness. That's like some sideways
is it?
That's some sideways other shit that comes in. I don't know whose that is.
So now there's many Krangs?
Because Krang will be, you obviously, that's a stupid idea. That's a feeling that you have, and we're not going to do that. That's not the
So you and Krang are at war against another voice.
It doesn't happen to me anymore. That's the chemistry of the addiction. Is that like it creates this other thought process in your head that's telling you to ruin your life.
You get rid of evil Krang and you just have good Krang now.
That's it,
you only
dude.
have the angel on your shoulder, not the devil anymore.
That's it.
All right.
These chemicals are so strong inside your brain that they create a voice.
We can end this conversation.
An extra thought.
But just so we're perfectly clear, I'm completely impressed by what you've done. I in no way am trying to belittle your accomplishments.
I know you're not. You're trying to gas them up more than they need to be.
More than you think they should be anyway.
Yes, correct. I need them to be gassed up enough so that somebody who thinks they can't do it knows that they can.
If you can do it, anybody can do it.
Because I promise you that sometimes life is much better now.
Sure.
But it's not always fucking great. But it's easier. It's much easier to deal with the not great of life now.
Right.
My not great doesn't fucking compare to not great on a day when I'm out ripping and running the streets.
Right. Or in jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, you too can prevent forest fires.
Yes.
God damn it. All right, man. This is fucking way longer than we planned on.
Sure.
But
remember when we're going to cut it at 9?
Yeah. I can't stop, man.
I know.
I'm addicted to talking into a microphone.
It's the last one of the year. You got to get it all out because next year is a whole new thing.
Next year we quit.
Yeah.
So come back on Monday night to see if we're here or not.
That's right. We're gonna do like WWF. Like each week it could be the end and you don't even know.
Let's see. What is next Monday? Is it the 1st?
2nd. It should be the 2nd.
It is the 2nd.
Yeah, Christmas and New Year's are always the same day.
All right. Well, then we'll be here. And
just like that, we're back.
We'll see you then. Here at the gig, we always would like you to know that we extend to you a +1. And your +1 has...
+2.
At least.
Minimum.
Yeah.
The +2, put it this way. The +2 is an obligation. Anybody you bring above and beyond that, that's your call.
Gig, get an email address, please. It's cove@PaydayJones or PaydayJones@PaydayJones. Feel free to hit up PaydayJones@PaydayJones for any of your email queries. Because I don't ever check the Cove at PaydayJones.
And if you need music, it's beats@PaydayJones.
There you go. We'll be back next week. Hit the like button on the way out. And next week, bring a buddy. Thanks. We'll see you.
Happy New Year.
Is this a new beat?
It might be new to you.
And to you.
Payday. Payday's here. The check is in the mail. Payday. Get to it.
I like it. It feels like medical recovery. Medicinal recovery angles. This feels like the methadone clinic, dog. This feels like 80 milligrams every morning. Followed up by a mental health meeting. Krang vs. Krang. Maybe that's the title of the mixtape.
Krang v. Krang?
Krang v. Krang.
It's evil Krang and good Krang.
This is the good Krang, I think.